Hello learners, welcome to today's session. The topic of discussion today is very interesting. As we all know, today we are celebrating World Wetlands Day. Yes, wetlands are unique ecosystems, and on 2nd February every year we celebrate the World Wetlands Day. The topic today is related to the course Urban Ecology, which is a part of MSc Environmental Sciences program, MA Environmental Studies program. The code of this course is MEVE-016. So in today's session, we will be discussing about the various types of wetlands, their ecological importance, the threats that we are facing today, and what conservation efforts are required to see that we are able to protect these unique, important, and beautiful ecosystems. To discuss this important subject, today in our studio, we have an eminent environmentalist and ecologist amongst us.
Thank you.
She is Professor Monika Koul, a name which is known by many who are in the field of environment. She is a professor in the Department of Botany, Hansraj College, University of Delhi. Madam, it is really a privilege for us that you are interacting with our students who are watching this program through various modes today.
Thank you, Deeksha ji.
And जैसा कि हम सभी जानते हैं कि हम World Wetlands Day मना रहे हैं. So, ma'am, my first question is, what is the importance? Although we know a lot of our students are aware about the definition and the importance of wetlands, but it's very interesting to know from you that why are they unique? What is the importance of wetlands in ecology?
As Deeksha ji has already pointed out, they are one of the most important ecosystems because, only 3/4 of the land surface has so many, water bodies. And you look at the importance of the wetland ecosystems because you see them in the form of streams, you see them in the form of lakes, you see them in the form of bogs, peat, marshes. So, they form a very important ecotones. They are having unique biodiversity that you do not see on the terrestrial ecosystems. They have lots of phytoplanktons which can be put to lots of economic uses. And if you look at the lakes or streams or rivers, they have unique hydrology. So all these things, they make them a very interesting systems of various trophic levels, various kinds of biotic and abiotic interactions, and their presence anywhere, that acts as a system where it can also mitigate temperature changes and all. Presence of a wetland ecosystem anywhere is an interesting ecological feature because, if you look at the wetlands, you also see that you see many birds near the wetlands. Yes. So the kind of food which these wetlands offer, that also attracts very, very important components of biodiversity, including annelids, insects, nematodes, zooplanktons, and so on and so forth. So if you look at the proper definition of a wetland, many people don't even believe that a rice field can be a wetland.
Yes.
Yeah, because a definition entails that any ecosystem which has water for some period of time also in a year, a seasonal water, yes, that can also be a wetland. So they can be brackish.
So ma'am, there are any earlier views like has this been the same? Means we have categorized the wetlands as the same throughout?
No, because you just talked about the wetland importance and you also talked about World Wetland Day. This definition came out after lots of negotiations, after a lot of meetings, and there was a convention which is very much related to wetlands, and that is Ramsar Convention.
Yes, ma'am. I was coming to that only.
Yeah.
Because we have heard that on 2nd February we are celebrating this wetland day, or I should say we are observing every year. It is because of the treaty which was signed, that is the Ramsar Convention, and 2nd Feb was the date when it was signed, and since then India became the signatory, owing to, yes, we have so many wetlands in our country. Ma'am, what is the importance of this convention? ये हमें क्या बताता है और इसके अंदर क्या क्या ऐसे प्रोविजंस हैं दैट मेक द कंजर्वेशन पार्ट ऑफ द वेटलैंड्स इम्पोर्टेंट?
देखिए, बिफोर दिस convention, we had lot of focus on terrestrial biodiversity. Forests were talked about everywhere. People were talking about the loss of forest cover, even temperate or tropical forests, but nobody was looking at wetland ecosystems. See, we have so many marine biosphere reserves, we have so many lakes, water bodies, and India has now 98 into 2026. We have 98 Ramsar sites, which tells us these are the highest, I guess, in the
Very good.
world. So you have so many in marine areas like Ran of Kutch, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Assam. You have so many wetlands. So if you look at Kashmir, has the largest lake, Asia's largest lake, which is Wular. So people were neglecting these. The focus was not on wetlands, and everybody was used to think that wetlands are sinks. जो भी हमारा गंद वंद है उनको wetlands में डाल दो, और इसी कारण से दिल्ली के बहुत सारे wetlands हमने silt कर दिए. We have silted those. At one point of time, there were more than 350 wetlands in Delhi, and now you see there are very few because wetlands were not, because people silted them and constructed houses. If you look Yamuna, floodplains, there were many water bodies. Now you don't see. So the point is that there was no attention of the global policymakers, even the locals, but wetlands were given a lot of livelihood to people in the areas. Look at Chilka Lake. There people were harnessing lot of fish, and lot of aquaculture was done. Not exploitation wise, but livelihood wise. So you see that these were serving important functions. But they were now getting silted. The biodiversity loss was taking place, which nobody was looking at. You see, people were talking of red data list and other things, but people were also looking at the loss of these wetlands. So I want to emphasize here that conservation of wetlands was not taken into account. And look at the properties they have. They have interesting properties: hydrology, the soil, the chemistry of the water, which offers so much, so important ecological services. We talked about terrestrial hot biodiversity spots, but we never talked about coral reefs as hotspots of biodiversity. Marine reserves were completely neglected. Migratory birds were losing their food, and there were few stopovers for migratory birds left, because now there wasn't any wetland to offer them that food. So global thinking tank environmentalists, they started talking about wetlands as important nature biosphere reserves, and even UN acknowledged this. And then there was this treaty which was signed at Ramsar, which is a place in Iran, where they discussed about the wetlands. And as you were saying, that people talked about what is the best use of wetland, how can we conserve them, what activities are allowed and what activities should not be allowed. And because, now we are talking about climate change and all, I told you that wherever the climate is equable kind of a thing, because water bodies regulate temperature. वो दिन में गर्म होती हैं, बट रात को वो
कूल डाउन हो जाती है,
तो उससे आपके सराउंडिंग एनवायरनमेंट, तभी आप जब झील के किनारे चलते हो तो आपको अच्छा लगता है, बिकॉज in comparison to other area the climate would be better. So people have started acknowledging these facts, and after that it felt like that we should do something, and many countries came together in Ramsar and they became signatories to this convention, Ramsar Convention, and there was a set of guidelines that have been put forward in this convention, how and when you have a Ramsar site designated, as I told you, we have many Ramsar sites in India, 98 Ramsar sites. So if you are a part of a Ramsar site, if A, B, C, D wetland is a Ramsar site, then you will also get some funds to help that can help you in remediation of a wetland. For instance, if the wetland has been contaminated, now many agencies, even scientists, are working towards the remediation of wetlands, restoration of the
Correct.
ecological properties of wetlands. And because your students are studying ecology and they are doing some
Yes,
research work,
yes.
so ecological restoration is not only done for terrestrial ecosystems. So Chilka Lake, for example, is getting restored. There are many agencies, one agency from India, WWF, along with Wetland International, and various universities are joining hands to restore the wetland, clean up these wetlands using
Yes,
traditional
yes.
as well as...
So, ma'am, I was coming to this as you are mentioning that there are so many benefits, ecological benefits and all. What is interesting, our learners would like to know, ma'am, you were talking about the physico-chemical characteristics of the wetlands. Can you tell the brief distinction between a aquatic ecosystem and the wetland ecosystem? Because again we are talking about the Wooler Lake, we are talking about the Chilka Lake, we are talking about so many water bodies in Delhi. So how a layman, how they can distinguish, and how do we know that this is a wetland and this is an aquatic ecosystem?
All right. See, the distinction is purely based on some of the physico-chemical properties
right.
and also the kind of biodiversity you can see here.
Correct.
For example, the soils in the wetland ecosystems have some anaerobic conditions. See, because there is silt, there are organisms, and when these organisms die, as I said, diatoms, there are many protozoans, they settle at the bottom of a
Correct.
wetland.
Correct.
And then when they start doing their enzymatic activities, they use a lot of oxygen. So the water body is kind of depleted of oxygen. So that creates a anaerobic condition, and that makes soil very different from a typical aquatic ecosystem.
Correct.
So again, the organic matter content is very high. For example, in bogs and peats, you see they are very rich in organic matter content. And again, because of this richness in organic matter content, you will find different life forms belonging to any of the taxonomic groups, but they are different from a typical pure, aquatic ecosystem where you don't have that hydric and kind of a soil.
Yeah. So, that makes it very clear. But specifically, ma'am, please tell our viewers about what are urban wetlands, because that means we have the wetlands in the cities.
Yes.
In our vicinity. So, what is their significance?
When we are talking about the urban wetlands, we mean those wetlands which are present in the cities where you have lots of population, where you have the characteristic features of urban wetlands are they have to be present in the urban ecosystems. The crowd, anthropogenic interference is huge compared to when you look at a wetland ecosystem like that on the hills, Uttarakhand or Kashmir hills. A wetland in Delhi, for example, we have Hauz Khas Jheel.
Yes.
You have Dirpur wetland here, and you have some parts of the Yamuna Biodiversity Park where they have restored some wetlands.
Yes.
So any wetland which is a part of a city is an urban wetland. Again, in cities you don't see many natural bodies. So having a urban wetland is apne aap mein, an asset to an urban ecosystem.
Correct.
Then these wetlands will, the city environment is, urban environment is lackluster. You have tall buildings, but when you have a wetland, you have birds coming in. That will change the entire, beauty of the region. And then you have aquatic plants which flower, which are very beautiful. Some of them, you see Eichhornia, though it is considered to be bad, but its flowers are beautiful. You have lotus, you have the nilembo, water lily. So there are many interesting plants that you see in the wetlands, and these plants, have unique adaptations also. So you see, in urban ecosystems where students do not get to go to a forest or to see nature reserves, if they have a wetland, they can look at the features of the plants, which are very, very interesting. Unique adaptations, as I said, because you will see anatomy of these plants. See, this is one of the perspective of a wetland, where you can study the diversity, which is very interesting. The adaptations for students, which you can see in the wetland ecosystems, they are very unique. Erenchymatous parenchyma. Then you have so many other features that make these ecosystems very interesting.
Yeah, that is very
And
interesting.
in urban areas, as you said, you need in the sterile environment which is there, you need something which is colorful, which has sounds
Luster
other than the sound which you hear on the roads. So
Yes.
urban wetlands, they mitigate the heat which is generated so much in the cities. They also, act as sinks for the waste which is generated, but only to a particular capacity.
Yeah.
As I said, we have really
Yes.
abused many of our
Yes,
wetlands.
yes. So, ma'am, do these biogeochemical cycling also happening in these urban wetlands?
Yeah,
as the nutrient cycles, maybe nitrogen, carbon, is it happening?
Yeah, see, as you said that why should we be talking about wetlands on a wetland day is wetlands are ecologically very, very important ecosystems. And biogeochemical cycling, which you are studied or which you may have studied in your earlier classes, is the movement of the nutrients from the various life forms and also from one sphere into another, from hydrosphere to lithosphere to atmosphere. So these wetlands serve as very important components of the cycling of the nutrients through various trophic levels and also through the various biogeochemical cycles. So they are actually models which can be wherein you can see the nutrient cycling happening, be it carbon cycling, be it nitrogen cycling, because the aquatic plants will help in using the atmospheric carbon dioxide, convert it into the food C6H12O6, release oxygen, and then the aquatic insects eat it. Carbon moves from the plants to the aquatic insects to other trophic levels, and then when these plants die, the decomposition happens at the base of the wetland, and thus the nutrient recycling takes place. So carbon recycling can be very well taught by taking students to the aquatic ecosystems.
Yeah. So that must be very, lively example where you can see the cycling happening in the wetlands which are there in our vicinity. We can check. But ma'am, unfortunately, what has been seen today, and not only in the case of the urban wetlands, but all over the globe, all over the ecosystems, the wetlands are getting degraded despite having the Ramsar site designation. Still we are seeing a lot of threats to our wetlands. So can you highlight what are the common threats? Means we know that the environmental problems are surfacing at every level, but when we talk of wetlands, and you have described it so beautifully that these are the unique ecological characteristics, physicochemical characteristics, and they are the world's richest ecosystems. What are the threats? Why are we losing these important wetlands?
See, one of the reasons, as we said, that urbanization took place. Because of urbanization, people started encroaching upon the wetlands. Then lots of solid waste, which is coming out of the households because population is very high, migration of many people is happening and people are moving to urban areas for better avenues. So with people comes waste, and so much of waste is getting dumped, because of which wetlands have receded. One reason is that. Second reason is that the water bodies are receiving lot of pollutants from the domestic waste, which causes eutrophication of the lakes. Because of the nitrogen-rich compounds, because of the phosphorus and all, even the agricultural runoff goes to these wetlands, because of which these wetlands are covered by lots of aquatic macrophytes. Light is not penetrating deep. So the lower strata, the organisms which are living at the lower levels in a water body, they are not getting adequate light. If they don't get adequate light, as you all know, students, the photosynthesis requires light. So photosynthesis will not happen in the plants which are submerged and which are there below. So if there is no photosynthesis, they are going to die gradually, and more of the organic content is getting added to the water body. So more of oxygen is getting depleted because now dead plants have to be decomposed. So decomposers are going to use more of oxygen. So eutrophication is a very big problem in the urban wetlands. Plastic is again, you see all polythenes, the site of the plastics across India.
Yes.
Even people have not left places like Ladakh, Pangong Lake, where you see polythene. In certain places it is banned and plastic is banned, but then tourists do not keep that in mind. Locals will not use, but tourists will bring wrappers and all and throw them. Then, because of the industrial discharge, what is happening is the chemicals at the, you must have read the news of Bangalore lakes on fire. So what do we mean by lakes on fire? The chemicals which are, which are lighter than the water, they are at the top. And then they catch up the flames, and that's happening in
it happening in many places.
Then oil spills. A lot of transport of oil takes through the water. Because ships and all, they take that. So sometimes because of some accident or because of some leakage, there are oil spills, and because oil is floating on the surface of water. So this doesn't allow again light to penetrate, and the organisms die. This happened in Bombay shores many a times. So they are affecting wetlands. Then foaming, Chhat Puja, during that time, you see, we saw ladies surrounded by foam. That's again because of the chemicals, reactions and all. So that causes, these are the major problems of wetlands. But these are, besides that, there is so much of other kind of waste also which is going into the water bodies. There are lots of heavy metal
runoff.
That leads to the urea getting added and NPK. But besides that, there are also heavy metals, heavy metal discharges. Some studies have reported that you have high amounts of lead, cadmium, and this lead and cadmium is getting biomagnified in the food chain, and that's affecting organisms. So as you can see here on this slide, you can observe that these are some of the major causes of the wetland pollution.
Ma'am, is anyway climate change linked to urban wetlands? Because we are seeing a lot of effects of climate change. Temperatures are rising, the rainfall patterns have shifted so much. So are our wetlands affected because of all these factors?
This is a very interesting question. And I feel, climate change is affecting everything.
Yes.
What is climate change? The climate change has many connotations. Warming is one factor. CO2 buildup is another factor. Many other compounds are now attributed also as the triggers of climate change. So because of this, what's happening is there is erratic weather pattern. So those places which used to receive lot of rainfall are not receiving any rainfall now. And those places which were dry are receiving huge amount of rainfall, but then there are no wetlands there to act as a catchment.
Yes, no sponges actually there is.
So what is happening is that the in certain areas wetlands are drying up on their own because evaporation, evapotranspiration, plants also lose a lot of water, which these aquatic macrophytes, and along with that there's high evaporation. And also because groundwater recharging is not happening, what we have done is we are pulling up water because water is subsidized in many places in our country. So people dig lots of wells and they do not allow the groundwater recharge happening. So gradually groundwater recharging is also very necessary. And again, climate change is also causing the change in the species. हम वेटलैंड को इकोसिस्टम इसीलिए बोल पाते हैं क्योंकि वहाँ पे इकोलॉजिकल प्रोसेसेस होती हैं. और इकोलॉजिकल प्रोसेसेस कैसे होती हैं? क्योंकि ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं. अभी हमने बताया न्यूट्रिएंट साइक्लिंग and other processes like waste degradation at the bottom. So if any of these processes are compromised, then gradually this will not remain a wetland ecosystem. So climate change is causing change in the biodiversity, affecting the food chains in the aquatic ecosystem.
Correct.
And that's how I guess.
Ma'am, what is the solution? What are the measures which we can take to protect our wetlands? Also the livelihoods of the people, because I know many people's livelihoods depends on the health of the wetlands.
For wetland management, it is not a single approach, because see, as we know that there are wetlands which are at higher altitudes, there are wetlands which are in plains, and then there are wetlands which are a part of some of the estuarine ecosystems, and also the saltwater pans and all. So a single pronged approach will not work. We have to have scientists involved in doing regional research, because everywhere you would need a different kind of a mitigation plan. So for example, for Delhi's wetlands, it is very important to stop sewage, entry of the sewage into the wetlands. Then you have to also ensure that the anthropogenic activities, which at many places on the in Delhi, they do a lot of washing and dyes go into the water bodies. So there you have to ensure that livelihood of these people is not affected, but they are shifted to some other places. And then the wetland has to be treated as a living ecosystem. It has to be treated as a treasure, because you get lots of the food in terms. आप सिंघाड़ा देखिए, आप लोटस स्टेम देखिए, आप कल्चर करते हैं, फिश कल्चर, फ्रेश वाटर फिश का, ये प्रॉन्स है, श्रिम्प्स है, इवन ऑयस्टर्स, आपके पर्ल कल्चर होता है चिल्का लेक में. तो we have to understand that if you preserve this wetland, then only you will get all the ecological services. This is an ecological service. Your cleaning of the waste is an ecological service. Maintaining of the biogeochemicals cycles is a ecological service. Offering food. आप देखिए जो वेटलैंड के किनारे पे रहते हैं उनका खाना वेटलैंड से ही आता है. बिल्कुल. तो और कुछ लोग जो वेटलैंड के प्लांट्स हैं उनसे बास्केट्स बनाते हैं. It's as you said, livelihood for them. They sell these baskets. Sedges on the edges of the wetlands, they are very good material for roofing. Now we are talking about green buildings and all. So there's so much you can get from a wetland. And for restoration, you have to ensure that you don't put waste into it. You have to respect them as these are the sources of food. You have to ensure that the water ki properties are studied off and on, because any disequilibrium in pH of the water or any addition of the metal contaminant, and for that scientists also have to do small projects in groups. Then the citizens can play a very important role. In Western countries, especially in Europe, there are watch groups, citizen watch groups. So some of the civilians can act as students, can act as species watch groups and see if there is any loss of wetland species. And now there are clouds where you can submit this data. So it is very important that all of us use our scientific inputs and also use our traditional knowledge and be kind to the wetlands.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was very interesting. And to our learners, I must say that this topic, urban wetlands, or in general the wetlands, has given you a lot of insights about wetlands, the importance of the wetlands, not only the ecological value, but the economic value as well. I hope you have enjoyed the session. And I once again, on our everyone behalf, thank you so much, ma'am, for coming over here.
Thank you, IGNOU, for giving this opportunity. Thank you.